Let's talk about me getting first place in a powerlifting meet for the first time in a meet that I didn't prep for while injured. I had no plans of returning to powerlifting quite yet. I wasn't gonna do any powerlifting meets until getting past building the house and having time to actually properly prep for a powerlifting meet. But my brother wanted to compete and it was his first powerlifting meet. He asked me to compete with him and I'm like, sure, let's go for it. And this was 3 weeks out from the meet. I had not done any heavy squats since before our car wreck in 2023. I had just recently started doing heavy bench press again, and I hadn't been doing heavy deadlift until recently either. So not only was I not prepped, I just wasn't doing the big three at all. So I was like, well, this is gonna go poorly, but let's see what we can do. The 3-week prep before the competition was actually going pretty good, and my numbers were a little bit higher than I expected them to be, especially after so long not being in powerlifting mode. That is until a week before the competition, and the last heavy bench press session that I did, I tweaked my pec. So I went from not confident that I was going to do well to building up some confidence that I might do okay to crap, this is not going to go well. But again, it was my brother's first powerlifting meet. I wanted to be able to compete with him in his first meet. So I sucked it up, made the best of what I could with the week leading up to the competition, and we went off to compete. When it actually came meet time, I actually was feeling pretty good. I knew I wasn't gonna be able to put up good numbers for bench because of my pec, but my squats were still feeling pretty good and my deadlifts were still feeling pretty good. So I thought I had a chance of at least getting a top 3, which is what I needed because this was a qualifier for SPF Worlds, and SPF Worlds is actually pretty close to home this year. So I'm like, okay, I've got to go participate in Worlds with it being that close to home. So that was the only goal. I was like, if I can get a top 3, I'm gonna be good to go. So going into it, the squats actually went way better than I thought they were going to. My competition PR going into this meet, if I remember correctly, was 425. For my opener for this meet, I decided to go with 405, and it was extremely easy. So for the next attempt, I bumped it up to 425, which, if I'm remembering correctly, would tie my previous competition PR, and I did that lift also super easy. And then for my final attempt, I put in 445, and it was easy. I don't know how that's possible because I've not squatted anything lower than 5 reps in 3 years almost. Ever since the car wreck and the injury and then the house, powerlifting has just kind of been not a priority. But even with not even doing the big 3, somehow I built some strength somewhere along the way that translated into squat. I had a lot more in the tank. I could have done at least 465 maybe even 475. How I did a 20-pound competition PR and had enough left in the tank that it could have potentially been a 50-pound competition PR, I don't know. It should not be possible, but here we are. And then when it came to bench, I knew I wasn't gonna be putting up any groundbreaking numbers, but I needed to get something on the board so that I didn't get disqualified, and something at least semi-respectable so that I could ensure that I ended up on the podium. So I decided to go with 275, which was actually going to be my last warm-up set with my original planned attempts, and it was super easy. After I got that and I got the 3 whites on 275, I just told them to decline my second 2 attempts, and I was done until deadlift. And it took every fiber of my being to decline those 2 attempts because I knew I had so much left in the tank, but I didn't want to do the dumb thing and hurt my pec even more and then not be able to deadlift as much because my pec was all jacked up. And it was very disappointing because the Georgia state record for bench press in my weight class for the SPF is 330 pounds. And I have done 355 in the basement. All I needed was 335 to set the state record in Georgia for bench press, and I was pretty confident that I would be able to do that, and then I didn't even get to try for it. So that was definitely a bummer, but you know, keep the main goal in sight. You need to get on the podium. And deadlift, again, should not be as strong as I was, given that I have hardly deadlifted at all for almost 3 years. But nonetheless, opened up with 475. It was extremely easy. It was a warm-up set, basically. Jumped it up to 500. Again, super easy. And that last attempt, I took it a little bit more conservatively than I should have. Given how easy that second attempt was, I should have jumped up a lot higher than I did, but my adrenals were pretty gassed out. Like, there was no pump up left in me by that point in time. I was as pumped up for that third lift as I am sitting down here right now talking to you guys. Like, I was blasting music in my headphones at maximum volume. I was, you know, jumping around, hopping around, nothing. I was trying to get myself pumped up. There was nothing left in the adrenals. And so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take it easy on this next jump because I don't wanna fail. I'm gonna take it up to 520. I'm pretty confident that I can do that. And that actually also meet PR. I believe my meet PR before this was 513. How I'm setting PRs in this meet, again, shouldn't be possible, but there we go. And 520, even with no adrenaline whatsoever, came off the floor almost like a warm-up. I had at least 20 more pounds in me. I probably could have hit 550. How? Again, no clue. So that was a meet PR on 2 lifts. And if not for the fact of having to drop 50 pounds off my bench press, it would have easily been a massive meet PR total. And so that was good enough for a first place finish in my weight class. And as far as overall with the dot score, I believe I was in 9th overall for the entire meet, and it was about a 60-something person meet, I believe, if I remember correctly. So I'm definitely pretty happy with that. And that qualifies me for Worlds in November, which gives me time to hopefully get this pec sorted out and be able to make some gains on the bench press between now and then. And also, first place finish for my brother and first place finish for my sister-in-law as well. So great day all the way around. So it was a very eventful day, a very exciting day, but also a little bit of an anxious day too, because this meet was on March 15th. And if that date rings a bell to you for some reason, it's because that was the day that the tornadoes were sweeping across the entire US, and our house back home was right in the path of where some of the tornadoes were hitting. And so as soon as I got the medal and took a picture with my brother and my sister-in-law, which by the way, it was her first meet as well. So down in the comments, show some love to those two. But as soon as I got a picture with those two, me and my wife, we were already packed up, and ready to roll. As soon as we got that picture, we jumped in the truck and we booking it home to make sure that we could get our son, who was staying with the in-laws, and make sure that we could get him and get back home and get safe with him. So it was an eventful day all the way around. Thankfully, we didn't have any damage where we live. I know other people weren't as fortunate, unfortunately, but we were safe. So that's good. And that's the story of the meet. And I got first place. But that's all for now. As always, God bless you and your family. And we'll see you next week.
Oh boy. You're a good boy. Oh, you're a big boy. Oh, you're gonna give me some sugars. Ah.